Good evening, everyone. I would like to invite you to the January 14th, 2019 regular council meeting. Welcome. Corporate Officer, do we have any late items?
Yes, there is one late item requested for addition to the agenda. It is entitled Introduction Report, Official Community Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Applications. And that is regarding some residential single detached intensive proposal regarding 13610 Banks Crescent.
Okay, thank you. And where will that be in the agenda?
Suggested that it be at the end of the items, so a brand new item 11.11.
Thank you.
That is the only late item.
Thank you. So now on to the approval of the agenda with the amendment for 11.11. Could I thank you, Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. And adoption of the minutes, item 4. There are 5 different minutes there for different meetings. If there are no changes, could someone bring those forward, please? Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes again, all in favor. And again with the 4.2 public hearing report. So this is the report dated December the 10th, our last meeting of last year. Councillor Carlson and Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Thank you. And then on to item 5, delegations 5.1. This is First Things First Okanagan introducing us to the Cool It program. And I'll welcome Britta Park and Kathleen Davies to the podium, please.
Hi, Kathleen Davies and Barry Lowen.
And Barry Lowen is here as well. Okay.
3 representatives, and we're the Education Committee of First Things First Okanagan. And the staff will later present a little bit more about this project that we're wanting to do, a pilot project to bring into the schools to raise the awareness among children. And this Cool It program, you'll learn more about it, but it will be, we've already talked to various educators in Summerland who seem very positive, and it will bring sort of an awareness of climate action into children and to families. And Summerland is our preferred way to be the place to be the pilot project, okay, for 4 classes. And we've basically got 2 main questions that we want to address. The first one would be, why does First Things First Okanagan support this Cool It program coming to schools in Summerland? That would be the first question. And we'd like to address you, Madam Mayor and the councillors. There are 3 reasons that we've sort of highlighted. One is just personal connections. I mean, one member of our Education Committee is Barry Lowen over there, and he's a longtime resident of Summerland. He happens to be a retired teacher who already knows many people, from principals to teachers to students and grandparents and everyone. He knows a lot of people. And they work in the local schools, and this personal connection is just very useful when setting up a pilot project. It makes sense to institute the first Okanagan Valley installment of Cool It here in this community. It exists, by the way, in many, many communities at Lower Mainland. Like it's in most school districts down there already. And our second reason is that Summerland is already taking climate change seriously. So thanks to the work of Summerland's councils, staff, committees over the past several years, many in this community are already aware that climate action is both desirable and possible. So Cool It, as the school program, will fit in well with this positive trajectory. The third reason is that kids, our youngsters, so it's upper elementary age, can join in on the solutions. Since Cool It is hands-on learning, it's an opportunity for children to focus on what their families can do in their own homes. The focus on solar panels rightly belongs to the public sphere and, is sort of out there and visible, but Cool-It has a way of including children and their families right at home in the larger community action. So the children learn many practical ways to reduce their family's energy use. For a full month, they will take shorter hot showers, turn the heat down when nobody's home, and all of those good things. There's a long checklist, and they'll keep track of these things, and then they learn that adding up, many families' seemingly small actions over a sustained period of time can actually have significant impact on reducing greenhouse gases. So that's sort of an empowering kind of message that they learn. The second question is that we wish to answer is what will be the benefits of Cool-It to the community. So one big benefit is that this program can contribute to reducing climate anxiety by making children and family feel more empowered. And we hear more and more about that as actually being a thing, you know. So that would be definitely a benefit to everyone. The other is there's useful data, and that comes out of this. And the Summerland Council will receive the data that is collected from the roughly 100 households. That will be, you know, if all the children in these 4 classes do their little tasks. So the BCSCA, which is the BC Sustainable Energy Association, they will convert this data, all these little checklists and what they've all done in their homes, into a greenhouse gas reduction numbers. And these will be reported. It's the responsibility of BCSCA and the Cool-It program to then report to you as council and mayor with these numbers, right? What the greenhouse gas reduction will be in this community if these families carry on their new practices for 1 year, right? So one has this sort of figure. And that can be certainly used and is reused again by where the Cool-It is being applied down in Surrey and Vancouver and all those many other school districts. And the municipality can report these reductions as part of their reductions. And the third benefit of Cool-It to this community would be just its name as, its reputation as showing leadership in the Okanagan Valley. Summerland is already a leader in many ways, and it will become an example to other Okanagan communities, encouraging an even stronger response to the challenge of climate change. So that is our little plug. As I say, the staff will be giving you some more later on.
Could I just ask you to stay at the podium for a moment? First of all, I'd like to say thank you for choosing Summerland for your pilot project. It's very much appreciated. Is there anybody on council that have questions of Britta? We will be hearing more through a staff report through Tammy later. Okay, all good. Thank you very much for your presentation. Council, could I have someone bring forward the recommendation, please? Councillor Holmes?
I'll move that the presentation, first things first, Cool-It program, be received for information.
And a seconder, please. Councillor Van Elfen, all in favor? Approved. Thank you. Next, I have a brief presentation on behalf of the Southern Ontario Local Government Association. I'm a member of the executive, and we felt that this was a great time to bring forward what the association is and what it does, because we have a new council and there are new councils throughout the Southern Interior. So, somebody will be bringing it up on the screen, I think. Great, thank you. SILGA stands for Southern Interior Local Government Association. It was started in the Okanagan Valley, originally called the Mayors and Reeves Association until 1937. 1937, not 97. The association became the Okanagan Valley Municipal Association, and then in 1973, it changed its name to the Okanagan Mainland Municipal Association, OMMA. In 2007, a resolution was passed to more clearly represent its members, and this is what we're known as today. There are 37 members in SILGA, 31 different municipalities, and 6 regional districts. There are 11 people on the executive, and after the last election, we lost 3 members of the executive, but we gained one. Councillor Judy Santes from Penticton stepped forward as we asked her to do so, because next year, in late April, early May, Penticton will be hosting the SILGA convention. So there are 2, sorry? This year. This year, thank you. So there are 2 director-at-large vacancies, and you'll hear a little bit later in our meeting tonight. If you're interested in putting your name forward for nomination, we're looking forward to having more people on the executive. Our president is Councillor Shelley Sims of Clearwater. There we go. Here's the geographical area. So it's quite a large area. There are about 510,000 people living in the SILGA region. So our purpose in 3 short words, let's see, wrong way. There we go. Is to connect, to educate, and to advocate. So we coordinate communication between SILGA members and all levels of government, including the federal government and other government associations. We try to keep the SILGA members as best educated as possible within the local government sphere. We work on putting on various workshops, best practices for Aboriginal relationships, information on the firefighters playbook. Those are the kinds of things that we'll have at our fall sessions. We didn't have any fall education sessions this year because of the election, and everything was changing over anyways. We also identify and promote and advocate for common issues that we have within our area. One of them, of course, being the invasive mussels. So, how do we achieve our goals? We debate between 20 and 40 resolutions a year at our convention, and again later on tonight you'll be hearing a call for resolutions. The deadline for this year is March the 1st, and the several resolutions come forward to a committee. I'm on the resolutions committee, and then we meet and decide which resolutions will make it to the floor. The idea is to have resolutions that represent as broad of a broad base of the membership as possible. And we want them to go on to UBCM, which ultimately gets them into the province's inboxes too. So, SILGA initiatives for 2018. During the UBCM convention, we advocated for regional issues by meeting with ministers and staff of various ministers, and we look to follow up these issues during the SILGA convention. As always, we hope to have MLAs attend SILGA and do presentations. It's difficult now because there's such a tenuous government structure right now. So we'll see how that goes. We're hoping that we'll have somebody out at least. 2018-19 strategic planning goals. We try to incorporate those issues identified in strategic plans during the convention sessions. At the 2019 convention in Penticton, we will have a representative from the Ministry of Housing speaking to BC Housing Hub developments. Now again, we hope to have her in person, but we're not sure if we'll have Minister Robinson in person or not. Emergency Management BC will be coming to talk about the 2017 and 2018 flood and fire season. And we've had lots of discussions within our council with those ministries as well. We have a pending invitation to the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions to speak to the opioid crisis in the SILGA region as well, and to discuss the support that the ministry can offer local governments. This is, This is a little bit of what you can expect in the upcoming convention. There are things for spouses to do as well, so that's always fun. Late April, early May, we could be into some good weather, so we'll be hoping for that. Keynote speakers for the upcoming convention. Probably some of you know of Joe Roberts. He's also called the Skid Row CEO. He's a fellow that had addiction issues and mental health issues. He was homeless, and now he is on a speaking circuit and has, over 20 years, has really changed his life around. He's very, very interesting to listen to. And probably everyone in Summerland knows Mr. Harry McWaters. He'll be talking to us about the wine industry in our region. And finally, the benefits of attending the convention, and I hope that everyone here will be there. Resolution debate, which is pretty important for all of us. Thought-provoking and educational speakers. We have quite a nice lineup. And, of course, networking with your peers, and we all know how important that is, just to stay in touch with what everybody else in local government is doing in our region. Registration will be open early next month, and we will be getting an email when registration is open. So if you could start thinking about the resolutions and whether or not you'd like to put your name forward to be on the executive, I would appreciate that. Thanks for your time. Okay, don't have to receive that. Now, item 6, which is our public comment opportunity. Maximum of 15 minutes in total and 2 minutes per speaker. Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to speak on, if you could come forward to the podium, please give us your name and your address before you begin to speak. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Nolette. I live at 14318 Dale Meadows Road here in Summerland. So I'm here to talk about the activity that is happening on property located at 10815 Rutherford Avenue here in Summerland. It is my understanding that there have been no work permits applied for by the owners of this property to date, and that the property owner has not been able to be contacted in regards to some of the concerns that some of the citizens have. To date, a septic tank has been buried and installed on the property, and Cindy Watson of the Health Protection Department has confirmed this fact. There have been quite a bit of activity using heavy equipment on the property, digging trenches in what looks to be preparation to install water lines. And the piping required for this activity has been delivered to the property. At present, there are 12 travel trailers on the property, one of which is being lived in, and possibly more. So my questions to council are, if the property owner has not even been able to be contacted regarding any of this activity, no permits have been applied, and it has been confirmed that there is activity, installation of water lines, septic tank has already occurred. Under what bylaws is, how will it, excuse me, sorry, I've skipped over. So if the septic tank has been buried, who and how will it be determined that it has been installed correctly and meets current standards and regulations? And under what bylaws is the storing of 12 trailers, 2 boats, 2 work trailers, 2 cars, and other miscellaneous stuff? What does that come under our agricultural designated land? And who monitors that activity? So I guess I wonder why a stop work order has not been issued until such time as proper permits are applied for and approved, and the actual owner of the property could be contacted, because he's not living on the property.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Teresa. This item is being brought forward later in the meeting tonight. Did you want her?
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's not, that's why It was an error that we had her speaking at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is not being brought forward. It was an error that we had you speaking at this time rather than at the end of the
Oh,
meeting.
okay. Sorry, I'm not
And the CA
familiar, I'm new to the town, I'm not familiar with your procedures.
Well, as you can tell, I'm confused.
That's what I wanted to say, so now or later.
This matter will be referred to the CAO, and she will look into this further for you. But, maybe CAO, you could say something now in terms of what's...
Yeah, I'll look into it. I'm not aware of it, so I'll talk to the Development Services Department and other staff, and we can get in contact with you after that.
Okay, I'm a bit confused that you're not aware of it because the bylaw officers have been contacted in regards to this.
Right, and the bylaw officers may be been apprised, but I have not yet, so that's why I'm saying I'll check with all of the staff
Okay,
and
excellent.
understand where it's at, and then we can talk to you.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to something that is on the agenda this evening?
Listed on there.
Sorry?
Everything that you can speak to is listed up there.
Oh, good. Thank you, because it's not highlighted on here.
Good evening, Council. Orv Robson, Summerland, 6708 McDonald Place. I wanted to clarify a couple of things that were on Lori's report to Council tonight on the skateboard park. First of all, it's $145,000 that we're committed to. We committed $10,000 cash 5 years ago for the design of this property, and then we've committed another $135,000 for the development of it, and it probably would have been a lot cheaper had we done it 5 years ago. The other thing is, the naming rights to this, I think it should be a combined effort from the school district, the Summerland Skateboard Park Society, and Penny Lane, and the district. So we're not in variance there. I just don't want to see it called the Orv Robson Skateboard Park or Aaron Carlson Skateboard Park. I think it should be the Summerland Skateboard Park. But that's my personal opinion. I guess we'll get down to that as we go through the process. And those are the two things that I wanted to just bring to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Orv. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to something that is showing up there on the monitor? All right. So now for my mayor's report. Item 7. I hope everyone had an enjoyable and safe holiday season, and happy 2019 to all of you. On January the 3rd, Councillor Holmes and I attended the first RDOS meeting of the new year. The 2019 budget passed first reading, and the RDOS Manager of Finance will be presenting in Summerland at our next Committee of the Whole meeting next Monday, January the 21st. The meeting begins at 1:30 and it's open to the public, so you can understand where your RDOS tax dollars are going. The RDOS Board also approved the conservation projects recommended by the Technical Advisory Committee, and those go through the South Okanagan Conservation Plan. 5 of the approved projects are within Summerland's boundaries, so we scored well this year. We also had a presentation by kind of a conglomeration of people that have produced, with grant funding, a homeowner's resource guide. It's about 50 pages long. It's still in draft form, so we don't have them here yet. But it's an amazing book, and it talks about conserving water, protecting your landscape from fire. There's some good landscaping techniques in there, not just for homeowners, but for local government as well. It's a really good all-encompassing booklet. Council and Senior Management met Thursday evening, January the 10th, and all day Friday, so last Thursday night and Friday, to work on strategic planning. Personally, I found it very valuable to be prioritizing both the projects that we have currently underway and the ones that we hope to get underway in 2019. There's more work to do in strategic planning, including the budgeting process, but that is already well underway. Also in the afternoon of January the 10th, I attended the Water Stewardship Council meeting in Kelowna. This group is our Sustainability and Alternative Energy Coordinator knows, is the Technical Advisory Committee for the Okanagan Basin Water Board. There's a good cross-section of people there representing groups including cattlemen, farmers, provincial staff, OBWB directors and staff, UBCO, Okanagan College, water purveyors, and water consultants. We had a very informative presentation on the Columbia Water Treaty. I know at the beginning of the meeting, or the beginning of her presentation, she says, who knows something about the Columbia Water Treaty? And I kind of raised my hand about this much. And within 5 or 10 minutes, I realized I really didn't know anything at all about the Columbia Water Treaty. It was a very interesting presentation. She did give us a little bit of a truncated update on the negotiations that are underway right now with the United States. I was particularly pleased to hear that First Nations, for the first time ever, have a seat at the negotiation table alongside BC Hydro, the province, and the federal government. Round 5 of the negotiations is being held in Washington, D.C. at the end of the next month. This Thursday, after the RDOS meeting in Penticton that Councillor Holmes and I will be attending, I'll be heading to Kelowna to attend the Okanagan Sustainability Leadership Council meeting. It's a relatively, well, not a new group, but they have relatively recently become a registered society, and we will be working on selecting 4 or 5 projects to pursue in 2019. And I should have an update for you in my next report. The Summerland Chamber is calling for nominations for their Business Excellence Awards and Community Awards. Visit the Chamber's website to make your nominations. And also the first Chamber Business After Business for 2019 is being hosted by the Summerland Review in their offices, and that's on January the 24th from 4:30 to 7. So note the new time, 4:30 instead of 5. Thank you. Over to you, CAO.
Council, I don't have too much to report to you tonight. I just thought I would remind you of the status of a couple of the funding applications that we have in, and some of them that are just going in. So we have a funding application in to the Rural Dividend Fund for the Ag Tech and Ag Projects project, and we've been advised by the program managers that we should be hearing late January, early February on that one. We still have that application in for the Flume project for the water system, and we were hoping that one was going to be announced very soon. That's a large capital grant application, but we're hearing now it'll be late March, early April for that particular one. You can see on the agenda tonight that as of January, I think 25th, those 2 that you previously directed us to be applying for, the Rural and Northern Communities grant, that's the voltage conversion, and the Community Culture and Recreation funding opportunity for the Arts Centre and the museum. Staff is almost finished working on those, and the amounts are in a resolution proposed for tonight. There's a few new opportunities. Fire Chief Noble and I are working on one for the Emergency Operations Center through UBCM, and we're looking there for some upgrades for our technology for the emergency operations centers. But the main thing on that one is we're still looking at a notification system for residents. So we don't have one at this point in time, where they can be alerted either on cell phone, text message, email, or another method, and then you can break down your categories quite well. And a few communities have it operating, and it works well. And this particular grant that's available is 100% funding. So we're looking at that, and probably next council meeting we'll be bringing the proposal forward for that one. And then Bicycle BC, or Bike BC, has recently come up with a new program which will bring some options forward. It's also got a short timeline. And then there's a new infrastructure program, also clean energy focus, that staff will be looking at some options to bring forward for council's consideration. So there's lots going on in those areas. And that's everything. Oh, and I do apologize, in the agenda tonight, all the outstanding resolutions are not included. We needed some time with staff to go through them, and it was quite out of date, so it'll be back on beginning next agenda.
Thank you. So mostly it's all about the money, right?
Seems that way these days.
Good on you guys. Excellent. Okay. There's nothing coming out of the committee of the whole or closed sessions?
No, nothing to bring forward.
Okay, so on to item 10, 10.1, bylaw. Bylaw notice enforcement amendment, bylaw number 2019-006, CAO.
Oh, sorry. We will turn that one over to, is it Mr. Deniger?
I can speak to it. It's kind of a housekeeping, but kind of important. It's to ensure that the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw actually includes references to the zoning bylaw to allow that process to occur if there's an infraction of the zoning bylaw. It was an oversight during the last rewrite of the zoning bylaw that those penalties, which used to be built into the bylaw, got transferred to the BNEB, the notice enforcement bylaw, but they were never actually entered into that bylaw. So we're correcting a wrong and making sure that we can actually enforce infractions to zoning.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on that, or? Sounds like just a housekeeping item. Okay, Richard, Councillor Barkle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering about the enforceability of some of our bylaws. Like, I was looking at one here, accessory building used unlawfully as a dwelling unit, $100 fine. Is that $100 a day, $100 once, and you got your license to use it? How does this work?
They are per offense per day,
Okay.
so it can add up very swiftly.
And how do you, other issues for some of these things with, establishing the infraction, like knowing that somebody's actually living there, getting on the property to confirm different things?
It can be challenging,
Yeah,
but that is the role of bylaw enforcement.
okay.
If there are no other questions of staff, I'll have someone bring forward the resolution, please. Councillor Traynor.
Would you like me to bring them both forward, 1 and 2?
First and second, and then?
You can do them all at one time, but they're separate resolutions.
Okay, I will bring forward both of the motions as presented, 1 and 2.
So 1 is for first and second reading, and 2 is for third reading. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Patton? All those in favor? Thank you. Carried. And then on to 10.2, fees and charges amendment regarding energy self-generation, bylaw number 2018-034. CAO?
We'll have Tammy Rothery speak to this one.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. As noted in your package, we are proposing some amendments to our fees and charges bylaw to bring our energy self-generation program into a formal means. As you know, we've been operating somewhat informally for the last few years. So the two elements in the proposal before you tonight are the rate at which we will compensate customers who return surplus energy to the grid, which we've had some discussions about in Committee of the Whole. And the second element is how much we charge customers for the bidirectional meter. That's a requirement for them to participate in the net metering program. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of staff, council?
And I'll just reiterate what Tammy said, in that this is just incorporating the information that council directed staff to do out of your Committee of the Whole discussion.
Councillor Carlson.
I have a question in regards to the panels that are now on this building as well as on the cultural center. Do those fall into the same bylaw, or is there a separate bylaw that goes with what the return on those will be?
Thank you for that question. So just to quickly be clear, we haven't yet put the panels on this building, but they will be going up. However, yes, both of those installations would fall under this program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Could I have someone bring forward the resolutions, please? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, I'd like to bring the resolution forward as written.
So Resolution 1 is for a reading first and second time, and 2 is for the third time, and these are seconded by Councillor Van Alphen. All in favor? Thank you. It's approved. On to 10.3, zoning bylaw amendment for accessory buildings, bylaw number 2019-001.
And I will turn that over to the Development Services staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This amending bylaw is being proposed by staff to clarify language and remove redundancy in section 4.5 of the zoning bylaw that regulates accessory buildings and structures. The first proposal is to delete section 4.5.3. This section limits accessory buildings and structures to 1 per lot. However, in a community with many large acreage lots that can support a greater number of accessory buildings, this may not be practical. And on smaller lots, the number of buildings will be limited by setbacks and lot coverage. For instance, on an 800 square meter RSD1 lot, the maximum lot coverage is 40% of the lot for a maximum coverage of 320 square meters. Of that, 80 square meters, or 25% of that, may be utilized for accessory buildings or structures. To illustrate this, on this lot, you could either have one 80 square meter coverage accessory building or 2 40 square meter accessory buildings. And for people still on Imperial, 80 square meters is approximately 860 square feet, and 40 square meters is approximately 430 square feet. Further, staff recommend deleting section 4.5.4, which prohibits accessory buildings and structures within the front and exterior side yards. I'd like to clarify that a yard is not the same as a required setback, but rather the full area between the primary structure and the associated property line. In 2018, Council reviewed 6 variances for this provision, all of which were passed. Staff have entertained more inquiries about this provision than have come to Council, many of which have indicated that they would intend to apply for a variance at some point. This is often an issue on large lots where the house may be built further back for privacy, whereas on small lots are generally built closer to the road to facilitate a private backyard. For instance, on this lot, the red lines illustrate the required minimum setback. However, the front yard is everything in front of the primary dwelling. For an example of when this happens on a small lot, in this instance, an accessory building may be built without a variance. The front yard is equal to the minimum required setback when an accessory building would not be permitted. However, in this layout, would require a variance, as the front yard projects beyond the minimum required setback. On large lots where a house is built closer to the front lot, the front yard is smaller. However, as is often the case with large lots, the single-family dwelling is built further back, making the front yard the majority of the property, triggering the requirement for variance. Staff also recommends deleting section 4.5.6, as it is a redundant provision that requires a minimum 1.5 meter setback from any side and rear property line unless expressly permitted. All zones expressly state rear and side setbacks, which, if less than 1.5 meters, would override this section, and if more than or equal to 1.5, would conform to this section. Finally, staff have recommended simplifying the definitions of setback and yard to provide greater clarity for both staff and public when reviewing siting plans. By way of example, the current definitions of setback, and I don't expect everyone to read this, is and the proposed definition is this. The definitions for yard have been similarly shortened for clarity. Thank you.
Any questions of staff, council? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, just direct it to staff, please. When we're looking at buildings that are under 100 square meters, less than 10 by 10, Is there any provisions in our bylaw currently that stipulates the distance of those buildings to the side or rear yard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Buildings under 100 square meters don't require a building permit, but they are still required to conform to setback requirements, including requirements for no accessory buildings in front yards.
Thank you.
Councillor Barclay?
Did I understand that correctly? A building less than 100 square meters doesn't require a building permit?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, 10 square meters, 100 square feet. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? So this is just one of many, many development services-related bylaws that we'll be seeing coming forward as they go through the onerous task of getting things modernized. Oh, Councillor Holmes.
Just a comment, I thought that was an excellent presentation. It was like watching an instructional video on YouTube, so it was very clear. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Holmes, would you like to bring the resolutions forward? Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Carlson, did you say?
I was just reading that it's a first and a second, and also a public hearing on January 28th. I'll second that motion.
So are you bringing forward both resolutions, Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I'm trying to find where we are.
Oh, page, oh yeah, you've got a different thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm bringing forward both.
So first and second reading, and then to a public hearing on January the 28th. Seconded by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Great. That is approved.
I've just got a correction from the last item. Can I just make a quick statement?
Yes, CAO, thank you.
Council, just from the previous item, when Councillor Carlson asked about the panels on the roof of Municipal Hall and whether or not they'd be treated the same, in actual fact, the bylaw that you consider today is residential only, and that would be commercial and be looked at when the commercial aspect comes forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then on to 10.4, zoning bylaw amendment for carriage houses, bylaw number 2019-002.
I'll have Development Services speak to this one. We may also speak as well, but you can start this one.
Thank you. Staff are recommending a complete revision of Section 7.4 of the zoning bylaw, which regulates carriage houses in all zones where carriage houses are a permitted use. The regulations are currently as follows. No carriage house on a lot that already contains a secondary dwelling or a secondary suite. This provision is proposed to be kept. The maximum floor area of a carriage house shall not be more than 90 square meters in concert with building code regulations for secondary suites and to ensure the ancillary nature of carriage homes. We are also proposing to keep this provision. This provision, finally, there's a provision that requires sill height to be no lower than 1.5 meters above the finished floor when the building is located closer to the rear yard than the principal dwelling. This provision is proposed to be removed due to safety concerns, and that staff believe this particular provision is beyond the scope of the zoning bylaw to regulate, as window sizes are regulated by building code. At this point, I would like to clarify the difference between a carriage house and a secondary suite. The current zoning bylaw does not differentiate between carriage house and accessory dwelling in an accessory building, although this is the intent. For the purpose of this bylaw, a carriage house is a detached secondary suite. A dwelling above an attached garage is similarly not a carriage house, but a secondary suite. This diagram illustrates the difference. Further, we are proposing the connection to municipal services be required. The Okanagan Basin Water Board has required as a condition of future sewer grant funding that carriage houses on lots less than 1 hectare or 2.47 acres be connected to community sewer. Provision is proposed within Section 7.4 to address this and to remove the requirement from the individual zones, one of which was missed when this was initially considered. For example, an 800 square meter lot connected to sewer and water may be permitted to have a carriage house. That same lot on septic would not. And a 1 hectare or 10,000 square meter lot on a septic system may be permitted a carriage house. Staff have been directed to look into regulating height of carriage houses in certain situations. The Affordable Housing Report supports this, saying that carriage houses should be encouraged in single-family zones, subject to neighborhood context, parking, and design considerations. The proposed regulations would continue to limit at-grade carriage houses to 4.5 meters in all zones. That's 4.5 meters in height, unless located above a garage, where they may be increased to 7.5 meters or 2 stories. However, staff are recommending that while carriage houses should still be permitted above detached garages on lots less than 1,000 square meters or a quarter acre, the height of these 2-story carriage houses will be constrained to the height of the existing dwelling on the property. For example, our 800 square meter lot with a 6-meter high house would be permitted an at-grade carriage house of 4.5 meters. However, if it were to be located above a detached garage, it may increase in height, but be constrained to 6 meters, the same height of the existing dwelling. On a 2,000 square meter lot or a half acre with a 4.5 meter house on it, an at-grade carriage house could be 4.5 meters, and when located above a detached garage may be increased to 7.5 meters in spite of the height of the house. Other additions to this bylaw include the following, which I won't go into in detail in this presentation, but can, of course, address any questions that you may have. Clarification of gross floor area to better inform designers of what is calculated in the 90 square meter gross floor area limit. Limiting carriage houses on ALR land without permission from the ALR. A minimum distance of 3 meters between a principal dwelling and a carriage house. Prohibition of subdividing a carriage house under the Strata Property Act, and clarification of parking requirements, which don't explicitly list carriage homes. However, secondary suite provisions have been consistently enforced and will continue to be the requirement. Thank you.
Councillor Van Raffelen, you have a question? No. Does anyone have a question? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank our planning department. A lot of work has gone into this, and the work that is done that we see currently is great work. And I know with your with the loads that you have, that to do this in an expedited manner was great, and I thank you so for taking this on.
Thanks. Thank you, Councillor Patton. Councillor Carlson.
My question is in regards to the OBWB grant opportunity. With this change, will we then remain eligible for funding?
Yes.
And is that an annual amount?
That is an annual amount, and yes, we will remain.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Could I have someone bring the resolutions forward, please? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to bring the resolutions forward as written.
Could I ask you to read them because there are 3 different ones there?
Absolutely.
That the zoning bylaw be read a first and second time.
Zoning bylaw be read first and second time.
That we have a public hearing on January the 28th.
That we have a public hearing on January 19th.
And that staff be directed to refer each building permit application received for 2 storage carriage houses prior to final consideration of the bylaw to council for consideration.
That staff be directed to refer each building permit application received for 2-story carriage houses prior to final consideration of bylaw number 2019-002 to council for consideration of withholding a building permit in accordance with section 463 of the Local Government Act.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for those 3 resolutions? Councillor Holmes. Any other questions of staff or further discussion? Councillor Barkwell.
So what exactly does it mean with this, for consideration of withholding a building permit? Does that mean that all of the applications prior to getting final reading of this bylaw would come forward in the form of a variance, in a style of a variance?
Yeah, yes. It means that any applications that come forward after 7 days, so there's a 7-day window, after 7 days, that staff would prepare a report to bring to council to illustrate if they would be, again, like whether or not they'd fit under the new bylaw or not, and council then has the opportunity to hold those until the new bylaw is implemented, or to process them under the old bylaw.
Okay.
Okay.
So if there was some doubt about the application, we could hold it and, or refuse the permit and say, come forward with a variance application so we can hear from the neighbors?
No, we would hold the application and process it under the new bylaw. So as long as the new bylaw was in 60 days, within the 60 days, then it wouldn't be a variance, it would be just their building permit. The building officials wouldn't review it until the new bylaw was adopted, and it would fall under the rules of the new bylaw. As opposed to if we had received something right now that doesn't come forward to council, it would get processed under the old bylaw. But because of many times when you're doing these kind of things, you're doing it for a reason, and so you can put that window in to say that the council has the opportunity to hold it, should you wish to hold it.
So if there was an issue with a 2-story building and it came 10 days from now, we would make a decision at that time as to whether to permit it under the old rules or to have it processed under the new rules, which would require a variance.
Yeah, so permitted to be accepted, right, for the building officials to then process.
Okay. Thank you for that, Councillor Barkwell. It clarifies things a lot. So the motion is on the floor and seconded. Are there any other questions or more discussion? Okay. Councillor Carlson.
I just wonder if we, through these changes, which appear good, if we anticipate any great controversy, or if this is going to bring us more in line with what should be in our bylaws.
I don't think we're going to be seeing great controversy, but perhaps Development Services wants to speak to a little bit more.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I do not anticipate there will be great controversy. In each community, decisions are made when a secondary suite program is implemented, and they tend to evolve over time as the community becomes more accustomed to the increased density. This is an example in 2011 where a bylaw was brought forward, and it's been progressively evolving, and this is the next evolution. There are certainly strong arguments for allowing 2-story carriage homes in any area as a way of increasing density. But if the community is not ready for it, it can create an anomaly in a specific neighborhood where it's all single-family structure, single-story structures, I beg your pardon, and now 2-story structures are introduced. In many cases, that's acceptable, but we have witnessed that this is not necessarily so in our community. So at this time, limiting it to the height of the principal dwelling means that people can sort of keep things consistent from a height perspective, and at some point in the future, undoubtedly, council may want to refresh the look, particularly as we further consider different types of affordable housing and integrating those into our neighborhoods. So, yes, it's just a step along the way.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question through the staff. So in the future, a homeowner applying for a carriage home, let's say they could still apply for a 2-story carriage home, but in that time they would have to notify neighbors, as it would be a variance situation?
Certainly.
two-story carriage homes, Madam Mayor, are not being prohibited. They are only being constrained on lots less than 1,000 square meters to the height of the home. So if someone on a piece of property that was under 1,000 square meters with a 4.5 meter high primary dwelling wanted a 7.5 meter carriage house above a garage, then they would need to apply for a variance in that instance. If it's above 1,000 square meters, then there is no proposed constraint on the height of a carriage house up to the maximum of 7.5 meters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And then when it came as a development variance, it would come forward to council, and then that's when the decision would be made?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. We're ready to call the question then? All those in favor? Thank you. None opposed? On to 11, business items. 11.1 is the Cool It Climate Leadership Training.
And right, we'll have Ms. Rothery speak to this one as a follow-up from the delegation from earlier tonight.
Great. Thanks, Madam Mayor and Council. As noted in your package, the District of Summerland has been approached with an opportunity to participate in the BC Sustainable Energy Association's Cool It program, and staff are recommending that we do take this opportunity. Because of the work that First Things First Okanagan will be contributing to the project, the impact on staff will be quite low, but our community will still be able to realize all of the benefits of the program. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Councillor Van Elfen.
May I put the resolution forward, Madam Mayor?
Yes, please.
That the District of Summerland participate in the BC Sustainable Energy Association's 2019 Cool It Climate Leadership Training Program.
And seconded by Councillor Traynor. Councillor Barkwell.
Just note that we discussed this at our Community Climate Action Committee meeting, and everybody was enthusiastic, and it looks like there's a lot of deliverables from it.
Nice. Councillor Holmes.
Just a question. It says it's for the 2019 school year. Does that mean the 2019-2020 or the one that we're in right now?
I believe that it would mean through till the 2020 year, maybe a shake or a nod of a head. Yep, okay. 2019 to 2020, yes, thank you for that.
So next year.
I have one question. I'm not sure if you can answer that or not. We heard that the pilot project will be in Summerland. Is the hope that it will go, and maybe this is for one of you, is the hope that it will go throughout our school district, in the near future, once the pilot is finished?
My understanding is that, yes, that's absolutely part of the intention, that we'll be having a regional facilitator who will be trained on the program, that they can work with other schools in the region as well.
Good. Great. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so all in favor of the Cool It leadership? Any opposed? None, so it's carried. 11.2, Development Variance Permit 8295 Prairie Valley Road.
This is another Development Services. I think we have Mr. Taylor speaking once again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. DVP 18-029 has been submitted to address a foundation pour error at 8295 Prairie Valley Road. The foundation is for a single-family dwelling, which is a permitted use on the zone and meets all other requirements. From time to time, foundations are not poured precisely to the points indicated on the site plan that are approved prior to building permits. In this instance, the encroachment is on a single corner and measures 6 centimeters, or approximately 2.4 inches from the front setback. As this variance is relatively minor and does not create any sightline issues along Prairie Valley Road, staff recommend that DVP 18-029 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. There is the opportunity for public comment on this development variance permit, beginning with the proponent, if that person is in the audience. Does anybody care to speak on this? All right. Council, any questions of council?
I'll bring forward a motion
Thank you.
if nobody has any questions. I think this is the smallest variance permit we've ever had. So I will bring forward that the developed variance permit DVP 18-029 to vary the minimum front setback from 6 meters to 5.94 meters in the RDH zone be approved.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Any discussion on this matter? No? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? None, so that's carried. 11.3, as part of our work of council, we have a number of different committees, and tonight we're going to look at the appointments for the alternate. So if the liaison is unable to attend, then the alternate will attend. Council, you can see the list before you. And if you have anything to say about the recommendations, now's your chance.
We do need one appointment for the second alternate for MIABC. They do have two, and we just listed one.
Oh, two alternates?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not critical, we don't have to, but if you wanted to make another, there is a blank on the recommended motion.
Councillor Van Elfen.
Just a question, if I may, Madam Mayor. I know we've had brief discussions in the past, but will there be, or will we have more conversation around a committee member for Sister City in the future?
I will refer that to the CAO. We've had discussion.
Thank you.
Absolutely, I think it's at next council meeting, there's a number of discussions that need to come up, and the sister city is only limited by, I haven't got to it, and I will get to it for next council meeting.
Thank you so much. May I bring the resolution forward, Madam Mayor?
Just before you do that, if I could ask if there's anybody else that would like to join Councillor Barkwell as the alternate on the Municipal Insurance Association of BC. Second alternate, so the chances of you having to attend a meeting.
I don't think I understand
Okay, can we go without one then?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay,
I'll put my name forward, Madam Mayor.
thank you, Councillor Van Elfen.
Chances are slim.
Yes. You can come back to me on that if that's not the case. Okay, so could I have somebody bring that resolution forward? Councillor Van Elfen, seconded by Councillor Barkwell. All in favor? And none opposed. Okay. On to 11.4, Rick Hansen Foundation Accessibility Certification Audits, CAO.
Council, you'll see in the report that this is just information that you accept the report. You'll see that there has been a request for funding for $20,000 to contribute to accessibility upgrades for the Arts and Cultural Center washrooms put in as well as a follow-up to this item. It's just information.
Any councillors have questions of our CAO? Councillor Barkwell.
There's some things that seem to be easily addressed without necessarily waiting for the grant. Does staff have the direction to do that?
Yeah, the intent is to be going through it and if it's budget items, it'll come through at budget, and if it's just part of our ongoing maintenance operation, we definitely would be doing it. Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking that our recreation manager wasn't here tonight, but I was thinking about somebody else. I'm sorry. Laurie should actually just speak. Sorry.
Thank you. Through the mayor, absolutely, these reports are shared with all applicable staff, and there are some small items there that could be addressed through operational, and any large items may be brought forward through the budget process.
Good question. Any other questions of staff? Okay, could I have someone bring that resolution forward, please? Councillor Van Elfen, seconded by Councillor Holmes. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Opposed is none, so carried. 11.5, the Ultra 520K multi-year booking request.
And this one, I will turn over to the Recreation Manager.
Thank you. The race director for the Ultra 520 Canada event is requesting a multi-year park booking commitment from the District of Summerland in order to simplify and coordinate their permit requests with all their other permitting partners. The district's booking procedure only allows for bookings a maximum of 1 year prior to the rental date. Staff have reviewed the request and suggest that any agreement for a long-term rental commitment include a subject which allows district's sole discretion to cancel should unforeseen circumstances arise. Canceling would likely be unlikely, but should a major event opportunity come forward, or if there's any major maintenance required for the park, we do have the ability to cancel the event. Currently, we don't have any fees associated with booking Memorial Park, and as you know, an upcoming fees and charges review may take place, and if there are fees associated with the park booking, then we would request that they be accommodated as part of the long-term booking. Steve Brown is in the gallery here. He is the race director, if you have any questions for him. But in the agenda package, you have his letter. It outlines the South Okanagan event, which started in 1993 and has grown substantially over the years. Day 3, the final event stage, concludes in Summerland at the end of an 84-kilometer double marathon run from Princeton via the old Princeton-Summerland Highway. And we do have a video that we have shared. I think we shared the 11-minute video, but we do have a 1-minute video that we'd like to show.
You've traveled here from all corners of the world, and what's brought you here is your own personal journey that you will now share with all of those that have chosen a similar path. Over the next 3 days, you will call upon the resources buried deep within you. You will know the power of our spirit you believe in, give you strength physically, mentally, spiritually, to complete your journey. We ask that you recognize and remember that the event is, first and foremost, an individual endurance challenge, where the spirit of camaraderie and goodwill are to be fostered wherever possible. Good luck to you all. May the courage be with you, the wind at your back, and we'll see you at the finish line.
So as I mentioned, you want to just wave your hand? Steve Brown, director in the audience, and staff support this recommendation to support the event and the multi-year booking.
Get your registrations in, council.
For 2019.
Sold out, Madam Mayor.
Keep them busy that weekend.
But I saw that 2020 registration starting, so. All right, that's, thank you for that. It's interesting to see that. Could I have somebody bring forward the resolution, please?
I'd bring the resolution forward as written.
Great, and the seconder, Councillor Van Elfen. Any questions of our manager of recreation? No? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? None opposed? Thank you.
And again, just because we don't have our new TV up, that is to accept the 5-year, or to grant a 5-year contract.
Booking request, yeah. Yes. On to 11.6, our skate park update.
Okay, Council, you'll note in the report that there's a number of just general information pieces which is the latter half of the report, talking about signage and graffiti and what the intent of staff to do are. So if you have any questions on those part, you can certainly ask us. Otherwise, we'll be moving forward in that line. The main points that staff is looking for direction from today would be the recognition and the process to recognize the project partners, contributors, and funders, and also skate park naming. And you'll see that staff has recommended that we refer the matter of recognition to the skate park committee. The skate park committee was very active throughout the development of the skate park, and we feel that a recommendation should be made to have them come forward in conjunction with what staff brings forward to them. And secondly, that as the speaker, Mr. Robson, spoke about at the beginning of the meeting, the school district number 67, District of Summerland, Penny Lane Charity Shop, and skate park committee members, one per group, form a committee to look at developing recommendations for the naming of the skate park. So Lori or myself can speak to any questions you may have on the skate park.
Councillor Van Alphen?
I'm just absolutely excited every time I drive by there now with the amount of young people that are utilizing it, and I know they're not supposed to be in there, but I don't think they're creating any major problems at this time from what I've read in some of the notes. I see that we're looking for a representative from the District of Summerland from Council to sit on the committee, and I would love to put my name forward, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I just have I have a question regarding the Orv Robson Skateboard Park. There's a sample of a plaque, and I two questions, I guess. One is the board of directors from the Penny Lane Legacy Fund. Is that the current board, or is that when the money was designated, or is it the same? Do you know?
It's our full board.
Still, they're still.
Passed away.
Okay, so it's from when the money was, okay. And the other is, if there, do we have some, or can there be conversation around, if we put a plaque with these folks, is there, a plaque with the people who were on the skate park committee that worked really hard for this as well? And like, how much recognition, and is that a conversation for the committee?
Our suggestion is that we send it to the committee to have a fulsome discussion on that, and that there's many ways of doing it, and there's good examples. And I think that if it went to the committee, first of all, they would do that discussion, and then it would come back to council with some recommendations.
That might just be my 2 bits, is that the support of the board that is presented here is wonderful, but we also have others. So if we're putting names on, I think we need to have a wholesome discussion about whose names get represented.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, I kind of just like to reiterate what Councillor Carlson just said. There's, I think we need to understand that a lot of people were involved in getting this project off the ground, and I just, I'm afraid if you have a plaque with a whole bunch of names, you're going to leave somebody's name off. So that's my kind of concern there. I just have I just don't quite understand why we're setting up another committee when we already have a committee, and the members of this new committee are, seems to be all the organizations that are already on the original committee. So why don't we just, yeah, the skate park committee. So why don't we just refer the whole thing to the skate park committee?
We certainly can do that, and if there's any of those organizations that haven't had recent representation, we can ensure that they're there, or that they appoint someone else, because that was the intent of the skate park committee at the beginning, to have all the representatives. So it could just be all referred to the skate park committee for sure.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me, and my concern, again, is the skate park committee does have youth representation on it. Whether they go to the meetings or not, I'm not sure, but if you set up another committee just with, with these elite groups, then, who are we leaving off? We're leaving off the youth. So I just don't understand why the skate park committee can't deal with it all.
I think that's, from a staff perspective, I think that's a very good idea, as long as we ensure that all of those organizations have active membership on it.
If not, we can invite them.
Yeah. And then we will.
Councillor Traynor?
I just have a couple of questions about point number 3, about the skate park closure. Do we know when New Line will be coming back? Like what month, approximately?
depending on the weather, but, yeah.
They need, I think it's 6 degrees for a minimum of 2 days.
Okay.
They will come back at any time when they can see a window of warmer weather.
Okay. I was just wondering, after reading this, it said New Line Skate Park have indicated that use of the skate park right now, I guess, would not do any damage to the concrete. So there's no question of the kids skating on it right now harming the integrity of it. And if there's no real liability issues with what we have right now, would there be a problem in taking down the gates now because kids are already using it?
But New Line's comments, it wouldn't affect the concrete. The liability issues, we'd have to arrange for temporary signage and proper access, because at this point in time, there is no signage there, and it's very important for liability purposes to have signage up. And there was some concern just on, right now it's cold enough, it's not muddy but without any landscape. And always when you open something, it's more difficult supposedly to get in to finish the work and to finish the landscaping. But it is, it's certainly a conversation to council to have on, but liability-wise, at this point in time, we're not really set to open, and we would have to do some work to make sure that we're not putting extra liability on the district.
So so we would just need a sign, like I saw you had a suggestion of signage here. We would need to get something like that temporarily if we were to consider taking down the fencing now?
Yeah, and then we would have to determine what the access is going to be and how we're going to open it and just things like that.
I just wanted to know what the rest of the council felt because, like I said, the weather's been warmer than we expected, so I think more kids have been using it and they are using it. So I don't know what other people think about opening it.
Councillor Carlson?
It goes back to the other conversation. Sorry, so if yours is follow-up on that, please go ahead.
Just because Councillor Trader wanted to know my opinion, I don't think it's worth taking the risk with the liability of like this. I think it's better to leave things the way they are until New Line comes in and finishes it off.
Did you want to weigh in on that as well, Councillor Carlson, or was it going back to the naming of
the naming, just the
committee?
conversation, yeah.
Yes,
So,
please go
I
ahead.
just want to go back to it, just so we don't miss some of the words in the letter received from the Penny Lane Society. We will be providing $70,000 as partial payment, the remainder to be received when conditions related to the recognition plaque have been agreed on. So I just want to note that is in a letter, and I hope that we can have some positive conversations and come to an agreement that will be work for everyone, because it's important that we do it right, but we also recognize that there is outstanding financial contribution that's been promised that we want to make sure is agreed and done in a thoughtful way.
Councillor Burkwell?
Am I to interpret that paragraph to say we're not going to give the money we promised if we don't get the recognition we want?
Literally, that's what the letter states. I think that there was some correspondence early in when the discussion of a donation was first starting, just briefly before I started, and there was some discussion, I believe, at the time of what expectations may be, and that never really got through the system at the municipality. I don't think that conversation carried on all the way through, so I think that I haven't spoken to the society myself directly about this, but my thought on that wording is just it's a little bit more emphasis because it kind of slid off the radar screen through it, that there needed to be discussions on naming or recognition, and I understand from speaking to Lori that it's not so hard and dried as that, other than we need to have good conversation and remember that was requested to have that conversation at the beginning, kind of what Councillor Carlson said. So I don't think, certainly when I read it and I knew the background, I didn't read it quite as literally as that.
Councillor Van Elfen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I have to agree with our CEO on this one. I think this is all about dialogue. That's all this is. A bunch of people want to get together. You know, there's some very large contributions been made. You know, school district, Penny Lane, the municipality. Just major contributions have been made. And all it is about some dialogue and respect and recognizing the contributors, all of them. And just having that opportunity to have the dialogue, and let's get this done. And also to Councillor Trainor's conversation, you know, we're on the hook for liability as it is. Regardless, if there's access into that facility, it says it's closed, but, you know, we might as well open it up, put up a sign, and use it on risk
So
at this point.
just to be clear, there is no access. For people to go into that, they need to climb over the fence. And we had one of our staff members who did want to go and do an inspection and realized that there was no way she was getting up and over that fence. So, so it's not that it's an incomplete skate park at this time. And again, if it was going to be opened, we would have to be doing work now. The weather, as it has been the last few days, have been fine to do that work, but that's not what we would normally be looking for at.
Can I make a suggestion that we make a decision on the resolution that's before us tonight, and perhaps we can have a further discussion amongst council at a committee of the whole or something, discussing what Councillors Van Elfen, Holmes, and
I'm okay. I just wanted to know what others thought, but it seems like we're good with the way it is now, so I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you don't need to have a
No,
further...
I just wanted to know what others thought. It's
Okay. Okay, so never mind what I just said. I was just trying to be accommodating.
No, that's fine.
So let's get back to what we have on the agenda tonight, and that is to establish a committee. Now, the composition, Councillor Holmes suggested that we have representation from these groups already on the skate park committee. Is there anyone that can confirm that?
I know that from, because it was a staff committee, and we formed the committee, and the intent was to have a representative from each on there. And for a great part of it, they actually did come to the school board representative, the Penny Lane representative did come as well. But I think the recreation manager has just going to say something to that.
I'd just like to add that the Penny Lane Charity Shop Society, I don't believe is part of the skate park committee, so we would obviously invite...
Whether they stopped coming when we formed it, they were part of it and came to the first few meetings. It's just that it went on for a long time, so we would make sure that's what we're saying. So if it was your wish, you could just have a resolution or a proposed motion that was just that the matter of recognition and naming of the skateboard project be referred to the skate park committee for recommendation back to council.
Are you madly typing that? Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll just give Mr. Deniger a minute with that.
I think it's Nicole.
Oh, Nicole is doing it? Councillor Carlson.
Just in regards then to the council representative on the skate park committee, as it is a new council, I wonder if we might want to put a different council member. I don't know.
That's right, we didn't do an appointment.
So I'm wondering if we might want to, I would suggest that Councillor Van Elfen be appointed to the skate park committee for this important conversation.
I just had a question about that. When it says District of Summerland, is that a District of Summerland staff representative or council representative?
Well, right, again, I mean, that was if it was going to be a different committee, and that would be council's wish on which. The skate park committee has a councillor on it that has come to most meetings, and and also staff has attended those meetings, but we wouldn't be voting. It would be if there was a council member attending.
Okay.
Councilor Barkle.
Yes, so as it stands with the skate park committee, other than kind of re-extending that invitation to someone from the Penny Lane Charity Shop, we have all of these groups
Yeah, you wouldn't need to
represented,
name them.
right?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I'm not sure if my appointment to the skate park committee survives the election, but I could put forward a resolution that Mr. Van Alphen be appointed to the skate park committee. And then it would be, I don't know if you just have to have me removed in order to do that.
It's a staff committee, so that would be fine.
Okay. I'll
Do
make
you-
that motion that Mr.
Just a sec, I think we've got one motion that maybe this one can be incorporated into. You're ready to go, are you, Jeremy?
You can't tell someone you don't motion. Did you want to read them both?
So I've got the modification to the recommended resolution, just so far to start with. So that's that the matter of recognition of skate park project contributors and naming of the skate park be referred to the skate park committee, and so forth as written.
And you can say, and further.
And further that. Oh, yeah, well, that part was,
Further that Councillor Marty Van Alphen.
oh, sorry, Mr.
That's what you meant? That Councillor Van Alphen be named?
Absolutely. It's
Yes.
just exactly the same as the initial one without the names, and then, and further that Councillor Van Alphen be appointed as the representative.
skate park committee. Okay. We are keeping the third recommendation at the bottom. It's now the third.
It's,
We are keeping this part, yes?
can you go back to what you have?
So it just should say that the matter of recognition and naming of the skate park project contributors be referred to the skate park committee, and further that a recommendation be developed for council's consideration, and that Councillor Van Alphen be appointed to the skate park committee.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah. Was that a good resolution for you to bring forward
Yeah,
then?
sure.
Okay, Councillor Barkwell?
And that's a motion that hasn't been made. It's not an amendment to something that Councillor Carlson put forward?
Has not been made.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
make that motion as
Great.
Stated.
Okay, and seconded, Councillor Holmes. Thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Any further discussion on this? We have it, everyone understands what we're voting on?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question through to staff, if I may. If the skateboard contractor was able to come back and had 2 days of 6-degree weather, and those, the caulking or whatever has to be done and sealing is completed, then would we be looking at moving the barriers at that time?
I think-
Are we concerned about finishing the landscaping and the whole 9 yards?
I think we're concerned about finishing the project, the access, the signage, et cetera. If the winter stayed the way it is right now and there was access to it and staff had the capacity, we could perhaps move things quicker. So I think it may not officially be on the agenda for an upcoming committee of the whole meeting, but if this weather pattern continues, then we certainly could bring it back sooner.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion on this? Okay, it's been, the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? None opposed? That's carried. Okay, on to 11.7. Call for SILGA resolutions and nominations. That's for the CAO?
So, as you can see, the first part of the report is for information, call for nominations. The information's in your package. If any counselor is interested in an executive position on SILGA, as presented by Mayor Boot earlier today, and they must receive March 1st. We don't do that through a council resolution, you do that yourself directly. And then the second part of the report is a call for resolutions, and we want to bring it forward to have council thinking about some of the potential resolutions that we may want to take forward to still get, and then ultimately perhaps UBCM if they get support. And so we're suggesting that that conversation happens on the February 18th Committee of the Whole meeting, and that maybe between now and then you think about it, or if you want to come and talk to staff about some of the things that you might want to work on crafting a proposed resolution for.
Great. If I could just add a bit of a clarification, and I should have mentioned this in my report. Although it says by March the 1st for nominations, that's only so that you have the opportunity to be in the convention booklet, for the SOGA convention booklet, and it gives a little bit of background and stuff. You could submit a picture. However, if we also take nominations from the floor, so if you decide later on that that's something you'd like to jump into and join us, then that would be great too. Okay. So could I have somebody bring forward that resolution, please? Unless you have questions of the CAO. Councillor Barkwell?
Yes, I'll bring that forward as written.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Van Alphen. All in favor? Oh, sorry, question of staff.
I just wanted to make the comment that I appreciate that you've brought this forward, Madam Mayor. I think that this is maybe a long process, but it's how important changes in our province begin, right here at council chambers around the province. And I will be discussing with you at least one idea that I would like.
Great. Good. Thank you very much, Councillor Barkwell. Any other comments? Great. I'll bring that forward for the question. All those in favor? None opposed, so that's carried. On to 11.8, infrastructure planning grant for the wastewater treatment plant facility plan.
I think, Council, that the report on this one's pretty straightforward. There's an $80,000 in the budget currently for wastewater treatment plant facility plan. There is an opportunity to prepare a fairly straightforward grant application for an infrastructure planning grant to receive $10,000 that goes towards that. So this is just the resolution that's required for Public Works to be able to submit the application.
Councillor Barkwell.
I'll move the motion as written.
Seconder, Councillor Patton. Does anyone have any questions on this? No? I just have one question: when the application is due? Is there a time crunch on this one?
Well, this one is a very straightforward one, and it's within the next week, but it's ready to go, and we'll have it out.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. On to 11.10, Investing in Canada Infrastructure Grant Application. This is with the Electrical Division.
Are we 11.9?
11 point... Oh, pardon me.
Same topic, different project.
Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program Grant Application, Building Summerland Vibrancy with the Cultural Hub. Thank you, CAO, for correcting that.
The next two items, 11.09 and 10, are both follow-ups from resolutions that Council have previously made directing staff to prepare these large grant applications. The first one that we're talking about now being the Cultural Hub, the Arts and Culture Center, and the museum, some work on the envelope of the museum. And the resolution is worded as it's required to be worded for the grant application. So it's, as you can see there, the magnitude of that grant is $1,837,500, and we have to indicate where our portion comes, our portion being $500,000, and it would be coming from the General Capital Works Reserve, but we've already allocated that $500,000. $250,000 of it was allocated 2 years ago in the budget, and $250,000 of it is the contribution from the Arts Council grant funding. So we're able to stack both of those grants, or that funding that we've already allocated, to be our contribution towards this bigger one. So there's no additional commitment required from the district. And the work that's being done, proposed to be done in the museum, is work that's, we're responsible, even with the museum in that building, for maintaining the envelope of the building, and this is work that's been identified as being required.
Okay, Councillor Holmes has a question.
So even though 250,000 of that $500,000 portion came from a grant itself, that's okay, that's acceptable?
Yes, because it's a grant that isn't, there's certain grants that's not eligible, for example, the gas tax grants. So we actually shuffled the 250,000 that we allocated for the Arts Center originally was coming from gas tax funds, but we just applied that to another 250,000 that was coming from general capital and just moved it around so that it was untethered. And the Arts Council grant, it didn't matter. And the Director of Finance confirmed that.
Any other questions?
And he's here. Is that correct, Director of Finance?
That's correct.
Could I have someone bring that resolution forward, please? Councillor Holmes.
For it as presented?
Seconder, Councillor Patton. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? None, so that's carried. Now on to 11.10, and this is for the electrical division.
This is for the voltage conversion project through the Rural and Northern Communities Program. Same thing, council had asked staff to prepare the application, and quite a bit of work, engineering work needed to be done in order to get the amount that the grant should be. If council recalls, in our initial discussions with the ministry, they were suggesting that in this particular program, projects of $3.5 million to $4 million are where they're anticipating most funding to be. When we had a conference call with the program directors last week, Jeremy Storvald and I did, in noting that our project was a little bit bigger and that it could be scaled down, and he highly recommended that we put this in for the full $7,340,000, of which only 10% is our contribution, and that we indicate in the grant application how it could be scaled down to a smaller project and still achieve worthy results. And so that's how Jeremy is producing the grant application, is with 3 different options, but they haven't had any really any electrical utility applications in the past, so they're quite interested in this particular one. And did you have anything that you want, I mean, if council has any questions, they could add, but anything else on this?
No, just any questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Carlson.
Question, and I wonder if it's the real number. Phase 2, you've put $15.3 million, is that?
That's correct.
Would that be like 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? If we're successful at this grant, that's a big number.
Yeah, it is a large number. The grant amount at 7.3 million covers kind of the initial first phase, which is really a small piece of the entire project. The entire project covers the whole electric system, all 9 feeders across the entire district. So it's about a $22 million project overall.
And we'd have to be looking, when it came time for the Phase 3, we would be looking at doing a business case scenario on the savings that we would, if this works as it should be working in the engineering, then we would be recognizing savings, which we would do on a payback.
So that was leading to the tough question. So what happens if we don't, $22 million is a lot of money. What happens if we never find or do that money to our electrical utility? Will it become obsolete?
It will over time. The system's stretched to its limits now. So we're already having trouble adding large industrial customers at this point in time. So over time, we may be faced with no choice if we want to continue to grow. But it's not a decision we have to make today. The grant money covers the first phase, which is great. It gets us 1 feeder completed out of 9, and the initial heavy first cost is to start the project. Right. And we can choose to do additional feeders over time as the district sees fit. And that could be stretched over 10 years, could be stretched over 5 years. We will get into some economics on payback. There is when the system's done completely, there is a 20% savings in our energy costs, which is pretty significant.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one. With this Phase 1 funding, if this is successful for us, will we see any reduction in fees with just the Phase 1, or does that not kick in until Phase 2 is completed?
It depends on, but there's two options on the direction of this particular grant application. So it will depend on the option that is that's chosen in the end on really what we're not focusing right now on any change in the fee structure. We're focusing on starting the voltage conversion and the focus on sound asset management and resiliency.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Barkwell.
Supporting this application is an easy decision, but from the discussion, should I assume that there's a lot more information to come on the economics of upgrading our electrical system and the infrastructure of it all?
For a second phase?
As we discussed in strategic planning, there will be, there's a number of plans and possibilities for the electrical utility, and it will be the discussion in a full committee of the whole meeting within the next few months where those decision points for council to really consider will be looked at in detail.
It sounds like there's a lot of both technical and financial considerations for something like this.
Totally, exactly.
Could I have someone bring the resolution forward if there are no other questions? Councillor Carlson?
I'll move 11.10 as presented.
And we have a seconder? Councillor Van Elfen? Any further discussion on this? All those in favor? None opposed? Carried. So on to 11.11, which is the late item. Introductory report on official community plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications over to CAO.
Oh, that's right. The council, development services staff will speak to this, but I just want to, you'll note in the application, in the late report that you got, staff does note that this should have come before Christmas to council. It's our practice now when development services receive an application that it's brought just for an initial review so that council knows that it's there. It's currently scheduled on an agricultural advisory committee meeting with a complete changeover in our development services staff. There wasn't a full awareness of the process, and we like to make sure that any applications that we receive, that we bring it for council so that you know it's been received and it's there prior to it going through the referral process. And it'll be just a very high-level introduction today, and then after it goes to AAC, it'll come back to council, of course, for the full discussion and consideration if you want to do first reading on it. So today it's just basically being provided for information that we've received an application. So Mr. Taylor will do an introduction. Oh, Mr. Patey. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received an application for the development of 13610 Banks Crescent. The application came from Lark Enterprises to amend the OCP from agriculture to low-density residential intensification and rezone the property from agriculture to RSD1, residential's, what's the acronym RSD1 for? Residential.
RSD1I.
RSD1I, in order to facilitate a 38-lot fee-simple subdivision. As you'll note in the slide, this is the same application, or this is the same parcel that was subject to an application last year for a multifamily development comprised of 4 multi-story buildings as a seniors care facility. You'll note in the application footprint that the proposed subdivision is contained entirely within what is currently the orchard area, the agricultural portion of the lot, and contained within the 3 slopes in and around the property. And you'll notice in the next slide that the proposed roadway and subdivision is completely contained within that area and requires an extension from Banks Crescent, and will also require a road closure process for the existing road. Now, that does leave the property to the south owned by the federal government, somewhat landlocked. So any future development of this parcel and subdivision will need to ensure access to that parcel. This subdivision as proposed is really at concept stage. There are a number of issues that staff have on first review of this application that will need to be addressed as part of subsequent development permit and subdivision applications.
Councillor Trainer.
What does fee simple mean?
Fee simple just means that the lots will be individually owned in fee simple as opposed to in a bare land strata configuration. So all fronting on a publicly dedicated road.
Okay.
Councillor Barkwell.
Can you remind me, RSD1I intensive is are the smallest lots we have in our zoning bylaws?
That's correct.
And is that the same size of lots as a Lighthouse Landing? And
What do you know?
maybe that's not a fair question. I guess whatever. Okay. What is the dimensions of in square meters per lot? Do we have that handy? Just out of curiosity.
They won't have this information yet because it truly is just meant to be an introduction. So they haven't even researched it all at this point in time, and when it comes back for council to direct us how to do it, to go to first reading, to not process it to, or not take it to a reading, or whatever you choose to do, that's when all of that will be done.
Madam Mayor, if I can answer the question somewhat, the RSD1I zone is our small lot zoning in our zoning bylaw. Most of the lots, based on our sort of cursory review of this subdivision application, are under 450 square meters and frontages, on average around 10 to 12 meters for frontage. There are a number of lots in here that just don't work, and the configuration of the road network doesn't really work for a number of reasons, so we do anticipate some significant changes to the layout.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson?
I really don't want to be next. Maybe
Okay.
someone else wants to speak.
Who else has questions of staff? I guess it's you,
Okay,
Councillor
so
Carlson.
I just, when we think back to the conversation that we had about this location, I remember saying, I think we can do better than this, and that was the proposal at the time. I would like to suggest that this isn't really that much better, and there may be some planning tools that could make it better, but there's, from what you see here, just as a giant overview, there's a lack of creativity, lack of green space, lack of trails, lack of all those things which would probably come forward in some further detailed plan, but it's just kind of disappointing that they would bring forward something so unappealing. So I don't see it yet.
Councillor Barkwell.
I'd like to thank Councillor Carlson for her comments. I think that if these applications are going to be brought before council prior to the official application and held up for that purpose, then there must be some purpose for council to look at them and make comments. And hopefully your comments will be addressed and will be received by the developers and taken into consideration. And any other comments that council has, otherwise there doesn't seem to be a purpose in providing information ahead of time and holding up any development.
I have a question of the CAO, just related to what Councillor Barkwell just said. Under legislation and policy, it says that staff are requesting the council to resolve that the application be processed further by staff.
Right, that's just our, again, prior to probably a year and a half ago, when we received an application, we just started to process it, and we didn't, council never saw it till it went to advisory, never heard about it, weren't even told that it had been received. So then the community, if they sat on Advisory Planning Commission or the AAC, they would be seeing it, and they would be hearing about it, and they'd be talking about it, but council wasn't even aware it was there. So we changed our policy to start bringing them, as you recall, most of them that come in a report of 5 or 6 that are just listed, and we give a very brief overview, and you tell us to go and process it, just to do what you would do. It's not a decision-making, you don't have enough information to make any judgments, it's, other than very high-level judgments, and that's our process. And if that's our process, it should be consistent for any legitimate application that comes in, is that's the process. It goes to committee, it gets the referrals, and then it comes back. And again, at that time, you don't have to pass a reading. You can either ask for more, or you can decide that you have enough information now that you've considered, and you know you don't want it or you do want it. So that's why we say that it's more for information, but our process is we just say that there's awareness now that staff is going to start circulating it, and it'll come back. And it's just fair and transparent and consistent. The only error here, it should have been on that last one that came with a number of them at the December meeting. And it's not meant to slow down anything, or it's meant to do, like with the rest of them that come, it doesn't slow the process down or anything, it just gets right in without doing any kind of work on it to start with.
Okay, I have another question for you later, but I'd like to hear from the councillors. Councillor Patton, I think you were first, and then Councillor Traynor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question to staff, please. Would this be in a consideration for, it's a little bit better than a PLR coming in for your review? Or would you consider this as a PLR for application?
So, through you, Madam Mayor, it's simply a case of an official community plan and zoning bylaw amendment has come with a conceptual plan attached to it. When we have a more fulsome discussion of our process and talk about what order and how applications are linked together, then that might be something you want to consider. But the subdivision process is separate from the official community plan and the zoning amendment. So the first object is to decide whether this is an appropriate land use. And we do have a number of documents, of course, which we will outline for you in the full report at the time of first and second reading. Generally, many municipalities do it different ways. Here, there's been an introductory report. In many municipalities, it's simply a listing in an activity report every month that says, hey, we've got an application, and nothing more than that is provided. Here, there was sort of an intent to provide just a little bit more, but where do you draw the line? So that's why we're trying to share what we do have, but it's not to say that it's time for a decision in any way.
And so just a couple clarification on that. That's precisely right. It's just, and it usually is just a list and then a couple of the overviews of it. The mayor just asked me, when you use the word PLR, just for anyone that doesn't know, it's preliminary letter of review or approval depending, and it's that's to do with the subdivision and what the approving officer does, but it is important to remember that's a completely separate process than the zoning.
Councillor Traynor.
I think I know the answer, but obviously no groups would have been contacted with regards to this yet, like for example the hatchery, because it's...
Again, we wouldn't know what the developer has done, so...
Well, that's fine, I think I know the answer.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? Could I have someone bring forward the resolution, and then we can have more discussion if people would like that? Councillor Van Elfen.
That the following official community plan and rezoning bylaw amendment application be received.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Patton. Any further discussion on that? Councillor Van Elfen.
Again, it's just to be received for information, if I'm not mistaken. And as Councillor Carlson said earlier, yeah, if this is, yeah, I'd like to see a lot more detail in the future, you know, like, it's, but they're not asking for anything at this time, they're just asking us basically to receive it, correct?
Well, receive it and to begin the process of putting the material together so that you can report.
Processing the application.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yes, the resolution as presented was, had the section, and that staff be directed to process the application for further consideration. That's not, you didn't include that part.
No, I apologize,
Oh, okay.
but I meant the whole part. Sorry.
It doesn't really matter either way, we would be processing it once.
I just wondered if that was intentional or not. No, okay.
No, sir.
So it's you're bringing forward the proposed motion?
Correct.
And it was Councillor Patton that seconded it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any further discussion on this? Okay, all of those in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. So we'll be seeing this again. Okay. Now on to item, let's make sure I'm on the right spot here. Item 12 is information items, starting with correspondence and other information item that's been received. Councillor Carlson, you'd like to bring something
Yeah,
forward?
there's a quick question on the congratulatory letter from Toyo Koro. There's a note, it says that it's been nearly 4 years since the Toyo Koro delegation visited your city, but I gave a tour to the Toyo Koro delegation in August of 2018, so
Yeah.
no, it wasn't students though that came. It was they were all adults, and they came during cherry harvest in August 2018. Was that a different delegation?
I'm
Or
not
have
sure,
they
but
missed something?
it could, yeah, we can follow up when we talk.
It would just be worth making sure that we all understand who was here, because and what is their delegation, or who might be coming, and when will they be coming back? That was my only note.
Councillor Traynor.
I think it was a group of students. They were all in grade 9, at least the ones that I met with.
And their chaperones came to do things?
They did as well, but.
Because I didn't meet any students when it was all adults, including, I'm pretty sure, counselors.
We had a ceremony here, and there was a group of about 10 or 12 students. So, I don't know.
We should probably clarify and find out to make sure that we have, and respond. I think would be nice to respond to the mayor of Toyo Koro, just to say thank you and whatever we decide over the next couple of weeks.
Well, it is a travel year this year,
Yeah.
and so that's what the work that's being looked at right now.
Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, so there was adults and there were children. The children stayed somewhat longer than the adults. They didn't seem to stay very long. I don't remember their positions, their relation to the the administration and our sister city, but, so there is both.
Once it's on your farm, there's nothing but the sea.
They like the cherry juice.
Okay, is there anything else that councillors like to bring forward? Nope. Okay, so could I have someone bring forward the recommendation to receive for information, please?
So moved.
Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Traynor, all in favor? None opposed. 12.2, the same thing for committee and commission minutes. Is there anything outstanding on the CCAAC meeting minutes? Could I have someone bring forward the resolution to receive those then, please? Councillor Traynor? Councillor Patton, all in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, Item 13 is councillor reports, starting with Councillor Patton today, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you all know, I am a huge proponent of carriage houses and secondary suites. And I am even a further proponent of responsible building, and with that goes responsible land use. And I think that the movements that we've made with the carriage house today is a movement for responsible development. And I would also like to say that I'd like to emphasize that there's never a wrong time to do the right thing, and I do believe that we've done the right thing tonight. And I thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
There's never a right time to do the wrong thing.
No, it's never a wrong time to do the right thing.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Councillor Holmes.
Yes, thank you. So, as the mayor mentioned, we had an RDS meeting already this year, and I'm very pleased to hear that we'll be getting a full presentation on the RDS budget at our next committee of the whole. I think that'll be very useful. They are proposing a 7.3% increase for Summerland, so it'll be good to hear exactly what all that increase is for. And I'll wait till that presentation to you know, rather than me go through it. One thing, though, that is going up that we heard about from Zoe Kirk is mosquito control. The flooding in the last few years has meant that the amount of mosquito control in the region that has gone from 50 hectares that they have to deal with to over 500 hectares. So it's increased significantly, and that means they've had to use more helicopter application time, which is quite expensive. They have to increase the larvicide that they spray. They have to, there's higher permit costs to do the increased areas. So that's, we heard a pretty interesting presentation about the mosquito control in the whole region, and that includes Summerland. And the mayor also mentioned the South Okanagan Conservation Fund and the things. I just wanted to mention one project, which is quite, I think people here will be quite interesting. It's the Love Your Lakes Personalized Shoreline Assessments and Restoration Demonstration Sites. This is a $39,000 funding to the Southern Interior Land Trust for lakeshore properties, most of which will be in Summerland. So they're going to assess that the purpose of the project will be to increase lakefront landowners' understanding of how they influence water quality and wildlife, and to inspire them to take action to protect their own shorelines. So they're going to assess more than 265 lakefront property shorelines and identify and prescribe opportunities for protecting and enhancing those shoreline habitats. They'll provide each landowner with a private personalized report with details on the state of their shoreline with specific but effective actions for improving lake health for people and wildlife. And they'll also plan to create 3 demonstration sites on public lands such as parks where interested lakeshore owners can see how demonstrated shoreline restoration techniques might work for their property. So it'd be great if one of those demonstration sites could be here in Summerland, and it's something we should try and take advantage of. I'd just like to say one more thing. I'd like to recognize 2 young women from Summerland. Lindsay Asheson, who made the Team BC Women's U18 hockey team, and she'll be representing the province at the Canada Winter Games in Red Deer next month. And Patricia Gove will also be participating at the Canada Winter Games as a hockey official. So that's congratulations to both of them.
If I might add one thing to Councillor Holmes' report. For the people that have a lakeshore property or a shoreline property, they are not obligated to participate in this Love Your Lakes project. I'm not sure why they wouldn't, but it's not mandatory. You can decide if you want to have that private assessment done. Next up is Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wondering, Councillor Holmes, if there was any quantifiable or measurable results from the mosquito spraying program. Do they have any way of determining its effectiveness? Because I'm a little bit skeptical of its effectiveness from my experience in Trail Creek.
Too bad we didn't have that image to show.
Have you got West Nile disease?
Are they, but I don't think that's the scientific evidence.
I can point you the direction for further information. I don't have that on top of my head.
Did
But that was discussed, right? That was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was discussed.
And as far as activities, I was going to report on the Climate Action Committee, but their minutes are always in our agenda. But I would mention that Councillor Patton and I had a tour of the rodeo grounds, and Councillor Holmes forgot to mention that he toured them as well. Councillor Patton is new to council and new to Summerland, only being here about 25 years. So I showed him around some of the hidden gems, and it was quite impressive, the work that they've done to refurbish the facility so far, and the more that can be done.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Van Elfen?
Nothing to report at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Traynor?
I don't have anything to report, but I didn't get any mosquito bites last summer, and I live in Trout Creek, so.
There's your empirical evidence. Great. Okay, thank you, Council. Now on to 14. Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to come to the podium and speak for a few minutes?
Grant Thompson, 14119 Prairie Valley Road. Happy New Year, Council. As previously mentioned, there's a number of concerned citizens in Prairie Valley keeping an eye on the activities going on at the former Rutherford Farms at Rutherford and Prairie Valley Road. This was first reported to Council on December 10th, so I thought I'd just give this simply an update as to what we've seen going on there in the last 6 weeks. As was previously mentioned, as of yesterday, there's 11 travel trailers, 2 boats, 2 cars, 1 pickup, and 1 large RV parked on the property. They all seem to be in storage, although 4 of them are parked on what you would consider to be the agricultural section, with a fair bit of excavator work, some ditching going on there. At least one of those trailers has been connected to power. It appears to be lived in full-time over the last month. There's a second trailer that's been connected, that may have been connected to the electrical system. And there's a third trailer that appears to be fully insulated and may be suitable for living in throughout the winter. Initiated by the local residents, we sent notifications into the Compliance Department of Agricultural Land Commission, waiting for a compliance visit sometime this spring. Notification has already been sent to Interior Health. Inspection has been conducted, and as was mentioned earlier, there's already been a septic tank installed, but Interior Health had no knowledge of that activity. And notification has already been sent to the bylaw officer, but apparently no action has been taken. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the situation there. It's very mysterious activities there. Doesn't seem to be any level of government that was informed of any of these proposed or actual activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes.
Council, just because when that came to the attention of council when I was away, and I wasn't aware at the beginning that it was a subject that I'm somewhat familiar with, and we did receive the notification from the ALC just earlier this week that they would be making that visit, and they'll be in contact with us. So there has been some activity amongst staff, and we can report back to council at the next council meeting.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Just as a brief follow-up, all of those contacts were initiated by the public, by the neighbors, and it's good to see that things are starting to trigger, but unfortunately requires enforcement by the citizens of Prairie Valley.
Hi, Marion McDonald, 6505 McDonald Place. It's concerning the Banks Crescent, as usual. I've got no objections to the sort of development, to some sort of development on the Banks Crescent property, but I'm a little concerned that given the past history of the developers, that it will change, and so I'm hoping that this time around, each time they came to council, there was a different configuration, there was different items proposed, different proposals on the plate, and I'm hoping this time around, when it comes to council for a reading, that it is very clear right from the beginning, and I would like to thank Councillor Carlson for her concerns about the lack of green space showing on it, as well as lack of trails and that sort of thing, and I'm hoping that they aren't dividing it out into the parcels that they had previously decided, where there would be that front lot, which I believe they called Lot 5, and having that separate. I think that at this time, if they're going to come forward, it would be nice if they put everything on the table right up front so that everybody can see it, because it certainly did not instill any confidence in their abilities with the previous proposals. And to let you know, for the development services, because you're all brand new to this, the very first time they came with a proposal was in December of 2015, and it's been on the plates formally since 2016, early 2016. Okay?
Thank you.
I'll keep this brief. My name is Eric Thompson. I'm the chair of the Summerland Skate Park Committee, and I would just like to say that regarding the site itself, I would like to recommend, and we'll have a meeting scheduled hopefully sooner than later for the Skate Park Committee, and we'll talk about it, but I'd like to recommend that you consider some sort of signage at the site, and it's maybe something the Skate Park Committee can take care of, replacing the current sign that says construction began in August, that briefly outlines why it's closed and why it needs to be closed, because I think there's a lot of misinformation and people jumping the fence sounds like a really, really bad idea. I can understand the need for people to want to skateboard there and use it for other activities, because it's like putting a Christmas present in front of somebody and then walking away and telling them they can't open it. But at the same time, there is really a safety issue. So as chair of the skate park committee, I'd rather not hear that people are jumping the fence, but if they had a big sign there that explained to them why they shouldn't. I believe the weather will change soon enough and we won't have an issue and we'll have snow on the ground. Also, I'd like to suggest that we maybe, and we'll do this at our meeting, consider some sort of a communication strategy, just something that goes out that explains to people exactly, and I read it in the newsletter, I saw that, that was great, but just that specifically outlines what is happening, because I learned a lot just from being at tonight's meeting, and not a lot of people are here, so they wouldn't necessarily know that. And just a quick thank you to the Penny Lane Charity Shop Society for all that they have done. Really appreciate that, and of course for council for making it happen, because it's pretty amazing to see it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone else from the gallery? Okay, over to you, John. Any questions from media? No. Okay. Could I have someone bring forward the resolution to adjourn the meeting, please?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Councillor Holmes has seconded. All in favor? Thank you.